Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Cooper, known as the Channel Guy Trader, and I'm reporting to you live from Wall Street Trading's Miami office down in sunny South Florida. Today's date is Wednesday, April the 24th, 2013, and here is today's After the Bell Market Summary brought to you by WallStreetTrading.com. I want to first start by taking a look to see how the indices close the session here for the day. The Dow Jones was down 43 points, the NASDAQ was up 32.32. And the S&P 500 was pretty much flat, up 0.01. If we take a look at the breadth on the market today, we had 2,202 issues declining on the NYSE, NASDAQ, and the AMEX. We had 3,830 issues advancing on the NYSE, NASDAQ, and the AMEX. Therefore, breadth was in favor of the bulls today. But overall, it was a muted session. I mean, volume was pretty light for the day. We came into the morning session, tried to pop up a little bit, sold off near the bottom of the range on the ES towards like 1571, rallied back up towards the top. And, there was a lot of chop action going on. Just a lot of chop action, not much to be had unless you were trading some key names, which we'll talk about here shortly. But if you take a look at the 5-minute chart of the ES, if I take off the studies here and show you guys what actually took place today, we had a nice little downward channel. All right, nice little downward channel action on the ES today. One of the clues that was pretty interesting here was, sold off from here, rallied up, sold back off, rallied up, held the 50% channel line, rallied back up, held the 50 again, rallied back up, and we had this little breakout right here. That was a breakout, that was a pullback. They try to hold the back test for a pullback. I actually tried to get long a little bit of ES right here, thinking we were going to try to get a bounce from that little pullback. They did this little flash down, stopped me out, and then freaking rallied it back up, and now it's doing nothing. But in any case, just a muted session today. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of the key stocks that are moving and take a look at what the general indices did via these ETFs that we track here. So first of all, starting off with the SPY. The SPY was up 10 cents today, closing at 157.88. You can see we're back above that key 157 level. All right, we're at this little gap resistance from the big sell side action that we had on Monday of last week. All right, that was the 15th. All right, and if we could break above this 158 and hold, we should be able to make a nice move back up towards these 159s. All right, that's how the SPY is looking. As far as it goes to the downside, you want to watch today's lows on the SPY around 157.54, and then we have this 156.84 level to watch. All right, from this prior resistance, now support, resistance. Now since we're back above it, it's now support again. So watch that 156.84 level. Call it 157 if you want to. See the triple Qs here. In other words, you want to see it hold above 157 if you were looking to buy it on the dip, if we dipped. The triple Qs, they're back inside this little bear. Rising wedge that we've been forming and then just been breaking below and getting right back above it. So I'm actually going to adjust the trend line again right here. All right, and now it's starting to turn more into a channel. All right, because they keep on knocking us down to these new lows and then taking us back up. So you have this little action going on right here. So we definitely want to make sure to see if this is developing some type of pattern, some type of downward sloping channel that could form, or in fact, are we going to hold above this 69.10 area and then try to break back over these what level is this here? And try to break back over these 69.75s. Okay, so on the triple Qs, you want to pay close attention to the 69 level, of course, which we've been discussing. Same thing with the SP, same thing as the SPY here. Prior resistance over here. We broke out support, back below it, prior resistance, back above it, support. All right, so watch that 69 level. It is very key. All right, the top side again, 69.75. We break over 69.75. Look for those 70s and 70.15, which is the high, 52-week high up there. IWM. Let's see what the IWM did today. IWM showed some relative strength today compared to the other indices. This thing, especially not just the IWM, but in general, the Russell 2000, I should say. And you can see that a little bit more. You can see that a little bit more clearer on the Russell 2000 futures. But in any case, IWM is trying to make its move back above 93, which would be good, because the same thing as I just showed you for the triple Qs and the SPY. Prior resistance, now support right here. We broke back below it, resistance, support, now back above it, resistance, and now we close slightly above that 92, 69 level, so minor support right here. But we got to really get back above these 93s and hold above 93. If we can make that happen, next level to watch is going to be back towards this gap fill around 93.65. back towards 94, and then these highs up here around 94, 98, call it 95. So, Russell 2000 recovering pretty well from the little dip down that it had last week. Held these 89s, so therefore that's going to be a key level to watch as well if we were to dip right back down there. Okay. Let's see. Commodities had a nice little bid today. All right, and I would assume it's because the U.S. dollar is a little bit weak. Let's take a look here, and yeah, the U.S. dollar was a little bit weak. One thing I'm going to be looking for going into the coming trading days here is going to be paying close attention to these highs right here on the dollar index to see if we take those out. All right, at the same time, going to be paying close attention to this key trend line right here that we're using as support. And since we broke below it, resistance, it should act as resistance right here. So if this thing was to actually come up here towards this 83.50 level, and we were to triple top up here in a way, and then reverse, that could be a sign that the dollar's going to start rolling over, and we want to start going back into those risky assets, and that could happen. All right, we did have a nice little bit in the commodity sector today. You can take a look at the OIH. All right, the OIH had a nice little bid in it. Oh, 1 second. All right, OIH had a nice little bid today. The XOI, the oil index, did pretty well. All right, and one thing I'm watching for in this OIH is that you can see it has a nice little downward sloping channel. The same thing that Halliburton had, which I call Halliberry, but the same thing that Halliburton had before it broke out. All right, so we've got to watch this OIH. Definitely going to be taking a look at a couple of these names here to see if I can put any call options strategies on them if we are expected to get some more topside action. So, for example, you take a look at Halliburton. All right, Halliburton was up 3% today. All right, we've been tracking Halliburton ever since the earnings. We traded it on Monday of this week. We didn't follow up with it yesterday, and then today it broke out. All right, so we slipped up on that one a little bit on our trading desk over here with me and my traders that I watch. But aside from that, I mean, Halliburton looks pretty good. Had a little closed off the highs today, but doesn't mean it can't go higher. As long as it can stay above this little downward trend line right here, or call it 40, maybe consolidate a bit, I would be expecting this stock to go higher as it is breaking out of this nice little bullish downward channel. Okay. Another stock you can take a look at is RIG, R-I-G. All right. RIG had a nice little day today up as well. All right. Remember, this stock not too long ago was at 59, and it's all the way back down at 50.81. One thing that you could do is draw this little trend line in right here, or so something like this, or better yet, something like this. You can kind of get a sense of what it's doing here. Another little downward type of channel right here. It needs to break really above these highs right here. Really needs to break back above 52 or so to get some nice momentum in that name. So you get run up back up towards 54. They do have earnings coming out next week, Wednesday. It looks like on the 1st. So keep that one on watch there. But overall, I mean, the financials were decent today. GE was strong today. The industrial stocks did pretty well today. BA, General Dynamics, consumer goods were a little bit weak. Healthcare was a little bit weak. Healthcare, I believe, was weak because of Edward Science. EW. Let's take a look at the EW. The stock got clobbered. I mean, they missed their earnings. They missed, they missed the top line, the bottom line, and they guided lower. Edward Life Sciences, EW. So I think this was part of the reason why the healthcare sector was down, or that whole little biotech sector and stuff was a little bit weak today because of the way this company came out with the results. But all in all, they were weak. That's what you got to know. Microsoft Technology was pretty decent today. Again, Microsoft had a nice little continuation move today, up 3.79%. This thing is just on fire. It looks like it wants to go back up here towards these highs around 33. All right, and this thing just continues to move to ramp up there. Again, Apple was down a little bit today, down 0.16%. I would say it recovered pretty well from the gap down, of course. Closed yesterday at 405.93, gap down all the way at 393, and then closed at 405. So some buyers came in there and protected that price. But if you take a look at the 15 minute, let's take a look at the 15 minute. Right on the open, they gapped it up. Right on the open, they rallied it all the way up, rallied it right back down, and then they closed right back up. I mean, once it was done trading, between this range, right on top of the previous day's lows, pretty much trapping anybody that was short below the previous day's lows, or anybody that got short on the open. They told them basically that they were going to be stuck and they weren't going to get out unless they covered. But in any case, Apple, recovered pretty well today. Again, what did they do here? They increased their dividend. They increased their buyback program. The stock was weak a little bit because of the fact that they were going to issue debt to pay their dividend and get some of the stuff done that they wanted to do that they announced in the earnings report. So just keep it on watch. I would say if it could get back above 420, all right, that's definitely going to cancel out anybody that's short below this level that has their stop above that 420 level. That's definitely going to cancel them out. So I wouldn't be surprised if Apple tries to make a move up tomorrow just to hit those stops, and then we'll have to gauge it from there to see if it's going to try to stay above 420 or roll over. But 420, regardless if it hits it tomorrow or the coming days or it doesn't hit it at all, 420 is the level you want to watch here in the short term as far as resistance goes. As far as support goes, you want to watch this level down here, which looks to be around 385. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at a couple more things here. The commodities, again, let's take a look at gold. Gold had a nice little move up today. Gold was up $1.49, up 1%. Still chopping around. You're not really seeing any big expansion candlesticks, which makes you, have to be a little bit wary about buying this action right here because it's just floating up on light volume. I mean, the chart is still very much damaged. Gap fill is all the way up here at 144. Can it get there? Who knows? Maybe it gaps up again tomorrow. There's some news, and then something comes out with it's bullish on gold, and it rises all the way up. Either way, the chart is technically damaged right now. Silver, SLV. Silver was not rallying with the precious metals or the copper at all. Again, copper had a nice little recovery today, but silver still lackluster. Still trading in a range between 22 and 23. So still trading in a dollar range here. It's kind of the same way it was trading back up here when it was in that little dollar range, which I highlighted with that little yellow action right here. You can see. So silver's pretty weak today. Copper had a nice little move up today. You can take a look at JJC, another way to gauge a copper. All right, gapped. You can see it closed on its lows yesterday, and it gapped up today and closed above yesterday's opening price, which is pretty good. A couple of names that traded higher off that bullishness, that nice little recovery in the copper market was FCX. FCX has been getting clobbered, all right, and now it's trying to get back up towards this little gap resistance right here from the gap down that it had last week Monday. That level is 30. If it could get back above 30 and hold above 30, we can maybe see these 3150s, 32s for that little gap fill action. But again, we do have all this moving average resistance right above us, so make sure you keep that in mind. Amazon's going to be a very interesting stock to watch. Because they have earnings coming out tomorrow after the close. Definitely going to have to see what happens with the stock to kind of get a gauge on consumer spending, discretionary income, stuff like that. Kind of get a gauge of how people are feeling about the economy. Because if they're feeling good, that means they're spending money. If they're spending money, that means they're expecting to get more money. So that's a good thing, right? So we definitely want to make sure we keep an eye on Amazon. Let me take a look at eBay. I haven't brought up eBay in a couple of days here. I haven't been watching it or trading it, but eBay's, they got smashed a little bit there from those highs, and the earnings came out and they did bad. Sold off now, trying to recover. Don't really see much there. Let's see here, Starbucks. All right, Starbucks is hanging in there. They have earnings coming out tomorrow, and their earnings are after the close here. And I really think Starbucks does well. I think they're going to report some good numbers, but definitely a stock you want to keep on your radar. All right, Qualcomm had some news after the close today. If I'm not mistaken, they beat their earnings and they beat the top line and the bottom line, and they guided higher, but the stock still got clobbered. If I'm not mistaken, that's what one of my guys on the desk were saying. But I haven't double checked that, so don't hold me to that. In any case, Qualcomm, the stock is opening up at stock is currently trading at 61.74 here after hours. All right, it's not looking good for that stock, which means that's going to be opening up below the 20-day moving average, 61.74. This little gap right here from the start of the year, that's around 61.87. So yeah, it's going to be opening up around this little gap fill action right here from the gap that we had at the start of the year. All right, so you want to watch that 61.87 area tomorrow if you plan on trading this. Break below that, the next level of real support's down here around 60.50. But then you have this little big range right here where the stock could catch support at from the distance from the gap and then below that candle right there. So keep Qualcomm on watch for tomorrow. The stock should be in play. A big stock that was in play today, guys, is FSLR. All right, the stock has been making this nice little bull flag here, right, and had a nice little breakout today. This is a textbook bull flag. Once it started closing above these 38s, and then once it got to close above this level right here, that was a sign that it was really going to go higher. We talked about this on the desk. Some of the traders traded this stock as well. Stock was definitely in play. Then we went and looked at some secondary plays off the idea, some momentum plays that could take place with this First Solar. So you could take a look at SunPower, SPWR had a nice little move up as well. This one looks like it may want to go back up towards this $14 level there. You can take a look at TSL, which is a little cheap one. Let me punch this one up here. You can take a look at TSL. You can take a look at WFR, LDK, CSIQ. There's a couple of cheap ones out there that you can take a look at. So make sure you keep those holders on watch. They could, be a nice little momentum sector to watch for the next couple of weeks that you can trade off of. GE had a nice little bounce today. Not really nothing too crazy to worry about, but had a nice little bounce today. JNPR had some sell side action today. We were watching that this morning. One of the trades on the desk actually caught this trade right here. As I discussed, this is for a short pre-market in our pre-market warm-up, which you could logged into our mywallstreettv.com trading room, and you can find our pre-market warm-up there and actually see me go over the pre-market warm-up. I'm actually trying to figure out if I want to start recording that and putting that out before the midday market update, so you can see how we were preparing to trade these stocks in the morning, and you can see what levels we're watching, and get a better feel of what we're looking to do here in the morning, so you could try to participate and make some cash flow as well. So aside from that, folks, very interesting day. We'll see what the market wants to do tomorrow, how we trade going into overnight session and then into tomorrow when we wake up. It's been a long day, man. Aside from that, keep an eye on these levels that I discussed, and have a great night, folks. Cheers.